Hi and welcome to this tutorial where we're going to freeform crochet an eye. We're going to start with 2 chains and then we're going to crochet single crochets in the first chain. Let's do 7 or 8 single crochets. So now we have a ring, so we're going to attach the last stitch with the first and we're going to secure with 1 chain stitch. And I think I'm gonna do 1 more round. When you freeform crochet, you don't have a pattern to work with, so you're going to have to rely on your own judgment when it comes to when it's time to increase. For this, I'm using the pivot technique, which I have been explaining in several videos. I'll link to one of them in the description below in case you have missed it. But basically, the pivot technique is a way to constantly stay alert when you're freeform crocheting, to make sure that you're always increasing or decreasing when you need to do so. Here I am crocheting a circle, so I will surely have to increase. The first round I will actually increase in every stitch. So 2 stitches in every previous stitch. And the second round I'm going to increase every other stitch. But the important thing to notice here is that you always stay alert to see if the stitch pivots to the left or to the right. And the goal here is to let the stitch stand up straight. Since I'm left-handed, I will check if the stitch pivots to the left, and then I need to increase. So we're done with the pupil. Now let's start with the iris. I'm choosing a light blue color for this, and here you can see that I need to pivot the stitch a bit. So I'm going to increase with 1 stitch. I'm also crocheting in the back loop because I think that it looks a bit neater and cleaner. So I'm doing single crochets here. And here I'm going to increase a bit more since the stitch is pivoting to the left. And if you have this pivot technique, you don't have to count stitches. You just have to stay alert to the fact that you might have to increase if the stitch pivots to the left or decrease if it pivots to the right. This, of course, if you're left-handed. If you're right-handed, it's the opposite. So you need to check that the stitch is not pivoting to the right. If so, you need to increase. Okay, I think I'll do another round on the iris here. So I'm crocheting in both loops and I need to increase once again. If you're not sure on how to do this technique, I will assure you that you will learn it soon enough if you just practice. The pivot technique is the most essential technique I can think of when it comes to freeform crochet. So you need to know how to see when it's time to increase or decrease. But I can assure you that it's quite easy when you get the hang of it. So don't give up and just keep trying. It's also always a good thing to know how to crochet a round shape, because many freeform crochet projects consist of round shapes. So once you get the hang of it, you can crochet just about anything. And let's do the invisible edge technique here again. This is also something that you can practice. Okay, so now I'm going to grab a darker yarn and I'm going to do half double crochets on this round. And once again, I need to check if the stitch pivots to the left, so I need to increase. Now you can see that the stitch pivots to the left, so I will just crochet one stitch more in the previous stitch. And let's finish by attaching the last stitch to the first and finish with the invisible edge technique. Like so. And now it's time for the white, and for this I'm using one of my freeform crochet principles that I call the progression. So you start with a slip stitch and then you progress the height of the stitches according to the following pattern. So you start with a slip stitch and then single crochet and half double crochet, double crochet, treble crochet, etc. And if you want, you can alternate the height with even longer stitches. And when I get to the top, I'm doing a chain stitch, and from here I will work backwards again. Double crochet, half double crochet, single, and finally a slip stitch. And as usual, I'm finishing with the invisible edge technique. Okay, so I'm done with one side, so let's do the same thing with the other side. And here is the result so far. Now I think I'm going to create a line in a pinkish tone. I'm starting with 3 chains, and I think I'm going to go with single crochets for this edge. And as usual, I will always stay alert to check if I need to decrease using the pivot technique or increase. Now let's create a black line on the other side. For this I'm using a thinner yarn, and I'm also crocheting in the back loop in order to get that neat and tidy look. Once in a while I lay out the work flat so I can see that it doesn't curl up in unwanted shapes or morph into hyperbolic shapes. For this project I want the work to stay flat, and when you're freeform crocheting you need to check once in a while if something starts to go rogue, so to speak. Now we're almost done with the eye. If you want, you can choose to build on top of this and create something fun around the eye. For example, you can use the eye as the middle of a cushion, or you can crochet several eyes and assemble them into a piece of artwork. This is a fun and easy project if you want to start your freeform crochet journey. I've explained this in earlier videos, but my life took a U-turn when I learned freeform crochet. The art of crochet opened up for me, and I couldn't believe that you could create just about anything with some simple stitches and some imagination. I'm going to crochet yet another row, so the black will just be a bit accentuated. And here you can see that I really need to pivot the stitch so that it will stand straight. And for this I need to increase. There are several factors when it comes to pivoting. For example, the height of the stitch will affect the amount of increases, and also the thickness of the yarn. So if you have a thin yarn and combine it with a thick yarn, you will have to need to increase a bit more than if you have the same yarn all the way through. This is something that surely comes with practice, so don't get discouraged if it doesn't work out the way you want the first time. Just keep practicing and practicing, and eventually you'll get the hang of it. But if I would recommend one thing for you to learn in order for you to start your freeform crochet, it would have to be to know when to increase and when to decrease in order for the work to stay flat and go wherever you want. And this is accomplished with the pivot technique. So if you learn this technique, you already know a lot. Now we're finished with the eye, but I think I'm gonna decorate it even further. So here I'm using a technique where I combine two colors and alternate stitches every other stitch. And here I'm going with the double crochets. This is a bit tricky because there are so many threads that you need to keep track of. It looks quite fun, and it's a fun technique to work with and to integrate into your freeform crochet projects. And here's how it looks, and I'm gonna finish this row and I'll come back when it's finished. Okay, here is how it looks now, and I'm gonna cut off the blue yarn and I'm gonna do the pink on the other side. This pink yarn is very thin, so I would have to need to increase quite a lot. And I'm doing single crochets for this row, which means that I don't have to increase as much as I would have if I would have used double crochets, for example. So to recap, the height of the stitch, the thickness of the yarn will influence the amount of increases you will have to create. But remember that whenever your crochet is like a shape of an arc or a round shape, that will come with some increases guaranteed. Okay, I'm almost finished with the project, and here's how it looks. Let's finish, and I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope that you learned something new. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the comments below, and I will try to answer them. And also don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!